Hey, okay, so I just got done editing Ford Fry's episode and it is so good. It's better than I imagined. It was so authentic. He is somebody that I've deeply admired from the way that he brands his restaurants to, y'all, he owns like 27 restaurants. To be consistent with 27 separate businesses is incredible. The team that you have to have behind you has to be a solid team, from branding to the food to the experience takes a lot out of you. It takes a special person for that. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to him. He pulls back the curtain and he shares about living two separate lives. He shares how college doesn't define you. He talks about how finding our identity and our friend group is the wrong way to go. It's a great episode. I can't wait for you to listen to it. Enjoy it. Share with a friend. Remember, know your worth and remind others of theirs. It's common to feel unworthy of love, but uncommon to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it. We want you to know your worth so you remind others of theirs. I am your host, Eryn Eddy Adkins, and this is the So Worth Loving podcast. Ford, I am so honored that you are part of this project. I was sharing with Matt one of the many things that I, just being somebody on the outside that have appreciated your work, I grew up with parents that manufactured furniture for like 40 years. My grandma did it for 50, stores, showrooms. And it looked outside like very glamorous and like, you know, they're killing it. But in ways it was like, it felt like sometimes it was killing us as a family business. There were a lot of ups and downs and hardships that not a lot of people saw. So I just want to first say, like, I am so honored and inspired to have a conversation with you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, and pull back the curtain a little bit.
Yeah.
What was like the first meal you cooked as a little kid?
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever been asked that question?
I have not been asked that question, but it was funny because I hung out in, you know, our kitchen and more my grandparents' kitchen to watch things. And one of my first early food memories of what I grabbed was my grandfather always made the turkey, and he cooked the turkey in a brown grocery bag is how he did it. And I remember he showed me, he didn't know what it was called, but it was the oyster from the turkey, from the backside. You flip it over and there's this little nugget of meat that's like the best part. So my mom would sit there and she'd eat all the skin and all the fat, and my grandfather would show me the oyster for the turkey. But I would say maybe one of the things that I remember really cooking the most, or first when I was little, was this little electric skillet that my mom had. It was one of those little things you plug in the wall, and then she filled it with Crisco and fried chicken, you know. And I mean, who knows? It was probably out of some bag of some sort, but you know, that's what I remember. So did you grow up like with a curiosity of food? Like, tell me like what was little Ford like? Yeah, I was a independent kid. You know, I loved doing crazy things, a little shy. I grew up around food it was important to my grandparents, I would say. Eating out at nice places, traveling. It was always about education. Like, we'd go to Maine, we'd go to Europe, we'd go wherever, and everything revolved around, hey, let's go to Guy Savoy. And, you know, while we're there, we may as well see the Eiffel Tower. It was kind of like that kind of thing.
Got
you know what I mean? Food was always, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, they pretty much hit up the tourist spots, I would say, for sure. But it was always around food. So I remember food. I think I was always interested in food. Yeah. I was always interested in eating.
Yeah.
You know, and tastes and so forth. That's why I was a horrible waiter and I was a horrible busboy just because I wanted to be sitting down eating, you know. Just a fat kid at heart. How about that, you know? I think that's me.
What was your first job?
First job was scooping ice cream at a pretty cool ice cream store.
Where was it?
In Houston.
Okay.
And then it moved into, I had a friend whose uncle owned a restaurant, and I think I was a busboy, and I was the worst busboy. I would like hang out at the dish pit and eat off the plates that came back. Oh,
was that because you liked the way the food looked, or were you like starving? Like because of like your home life?
I can eat. I'm like a dog, you know, can just like eat and just till I'm till it's all gone.
So are you like, the plate needs to be cleaned before you put it in the dishwasher?
No, I don't care. I'm just like, I see that piece of sausage left on the plate. I'm going to eat it. So, and I don't do that these days.
No, you don't? Where did the control come from?
Yeah. I think that's probably why I got fired. They're like, this boy just eats off the dish.
You got fired?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Back
maybe.
then, when you're a kid, you don't really get fired. You just don't find
fade
yourself
out.
on the schedule anymore. It's like, I'm not on the schedule. No.
That's
okay,
true.
bye.
That's so true. You kind of just fade out of it.
Yeah, you fade out.
Yeah. So how old were you when that?
I think I was early high school, probably at that point.
What was high school like for you?
High school, I switched from a private school in Houston to a big public high school. And that was pretty, I really liked that. Just because my friends were one type at the private school, was very wealthy, very smart kids, and then go into public school, which just had every kind of kid, and it was super cool. But it was about kind of like, hey, how do I? Because they weren't kids I grew up with. It was a whole new friend group, and it was always trying to find, my worth and like, hey, who's going to like me? Who's not going to like me? That kind of thing. And that kind of carried on even into college a little bit. And I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah,
but, I played sports. I played music.
What kind of music did you play?
I played guitar. So we were in we had a band. So we played, it was funny because we played proms and so we anything for back then it was
proms?
like U2 like U2 and Simple Minds and Billy Idol and all this kind of stuff. So we would charge, I mean, this is in the 80s, okay, we would charge $1,200 to play, and that was
a lot.
big. Yeah, that was especially back then. All $1,200 went to our sound. We had a sound system, massive speakers, a sound guy, and everything. We rolled.
Wow.
So we made no money, but we sounded legit.
Awesome.
So it was awesome.
What kind of guitar did you play? An Elliott?
I've had an Elliott, but they didn't have those back then. I played a Strat. It was a custom. My grandfather gave us a Christmas present one day. It was on a card, and it said, he was this philosophical guy who was a doctor, and he's like, whatever is mine is yours. I'm like, what does this mean? So he had to explain it to us, like, just tell me what you want. That's basically what he was saying. So I'm like, I want a custom-made guitar. So I had this guitar. I went to the guitar store, Rockin' Robin in Houston, and that's where I'd like live, and they made this guitar for me. So that's pretty much what I played. But back then, you only had one guitar, and then whenever you wanted another guitar, you had to sell it for like half the value, and then buy another one. So I lost so much money. And
do you still have your original guitar?
No, the original one got stolen.
Oh.
And then I ended up selling all that stuff, and now I've just been gone crazy. So I got a bunch of guitars now.
You do?
I'm making up for it.
Do you play?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yeah, my hearing is kind of going down a little bit.
Because you play guitar?
It's absolutely because I play guitar.
Really?
Yes.
Do you still, like, in another life, would you want to have like a band again?
Yeah, we had a chef band here that played for music festivals. We did like food festivals, not music festivals.
Well,
so we would do anything. Like I played with started off with a chef band where, I hope the drummer doesn't listen to this, but he was really bad. And then the singers some were good, some were bad. Okay. So then I'm like, I need players around me that make me sound better.
Yeah.
So we had some of the yacht rock guys would play with us. Peter Stroud would sit in with us, who is, y'all probably know him. He's Sheryl Crow's guitarist. There, So, we would play anything from, a Rolling Stones tribute to Led Zeppelin tribute to REM. I played with the REM, the Remakes. If y'all know the Remakes, they're an awesome REM tribute band in Atlanta. And they sound just like REM. So that was fun.
Did you ever play with the Bon Jovi cover band here in Atlanta?
No.
Oh, no.
I was never a Bon Jovi fan. I don't know why. Just, I don't know, maybe New Jersey. Who knows? I don't know.
So wait, so you did that in high school. You were already an entrepreneur by creating a whole music band and charging $1,200, which is a lot for the 80s, but that's also a lot for high school students. right?
Yeah, but that was a very, I mean, the moms had to pay for it, or whatever. But
yes, that's true.
I think my entrepreneur started off, there was two things. One of them, my uncle had a photography studio, which was in this house, and he had this garden out front, kind of a grassy area out front that had all these weeds and stickers and all that. And he said, hey, Ford, I want to pay you $50 to weed this thing. I said, sure.
Yeah.
So I went to start weeding it, and there were stickers, and it was like poking me. I'm like, I do not like this. And this homeless guy walked up, and he said, hey, do you got any work for me? I said, absolutely, I do. He says, I'll work for food. I said, okay. I said, I'll be back in 2 hours, and I'll bring you a burger. So I brought him a burger. And then he weeded it all for me. So I basically contracted it out to him, and then I took the $50.
Wow. How old were you?
Probably, I was driving, so probably
like
sophomore.
16, 17.
And then I was also in a high school fraternity kind of thing. And we had this party in this guy's house, and we advertised, this is early days, we advertised 16 kegs. Back then you just made it up, you know what I mean? And our high school was in the playoffs, in the Astrodome. So we put out all these flyers, 16 kegs. It was a friend of ours, massive house, parents are out of town. We only had a half keg. Like it was like some leftover keg from the night before, some other party we got a hold of. And after the game let out, we had maybe a couple thousand people show up to this house. And they all paid $5, and they all got in really quick,
What?
But we ran out of beer. So we went and told it was one of those gated communities where there was a rent-a-cop down the street. So we went to the rent-a-cop and said, hey, I don't know where these people came from. The cop walked in, everyone scattered like mice, and we're up there just rolling in cash. So I've got my
What's another story? That's
you know what I mean? I got all kinds of stories. I got all kinds of stories.
So did you do that consistently? So
no.
So the weed eating thing, like plucking the weeds, and then the party time. What else have you done? What other little that nobody knows?
I tell you. I can't go live with what nobody knows.
I started at, what'd you say?
No, I can't go live with that kind of stuff. Those are good ones. Those are good ones.
When I was like 20, I would make these little felt creatures from the craft store. I'd like make little like owls and bunnies out of like little round puffy things with ears and eyes, and they were so cute. And we were moving, and my former husband wanted to throw them away, and I was like, no, we can't throw these away. Like, they're so cute, but we really didn't need them because, we're going to do with all these felt animals. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to adopt them. So I started a website, adoptmyfelt.com.
Oh, my gosh.
And I had people put in an application to adopt the felt and I would review the applications, and I would mail them. Now, I feel like maybe a 15-year-old should be doing that, not a 20-year-old. But I had that little side. I didn't charge, though, for it.
Oh, I was going to ask how much money you made on that.
I didn't. I should have had like some sort of like adoption application
You should have known me. I would have helped you out.
It would have helped me out. So did you go to college, or what did you do after high school?
I did. I went to University of Arkansas.
Okay.
Joined a fraternity. Didn't go to class. I made a 1.9 my first semester. 1.9. So
1.9?
A 1.9.
What does that mean? Because I didn't go to college.
GPA.
Oh.
1.9 GPA. I saw this funny the other day. I was up in North Georgia, and there must have been near one of these race car tracks, and this guy in a Ferrari, his license plate said 2.1 GPA. And I almost wanted to pull him over and say, hey, bro, I made a 1.9.
Wow, you should have done it.
I beat you, you know what I mean? So, I made a 1.9. I had to pledge. If anyone knows anything about that, you pledge for the first half of the year.
Okay.
But you have to make a 2.0 to get initiated. Well, I made a 1.9, so I didn't get initiated. I had to pledge again. So I had to go through all that for a whole nother semester. And then after that, I made a 3.0, but it just was like, I just didn't go to class. I love sleeping.
Yeah.
I actually stopped drinking after my freshman year because that was something I noticed. I noticed that when I was drinking to try to connect with people, and I was connecting well when we were drunk,
Yeah.
It was the next morning when we were sober. It's just, I did not connect. You know, I
Really?
wasn't in. I wasn't the in. I didn't have they weren't that friendly with me. My pledge brothers, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple of them, but most of them were from Arkansas. So I was trying to get in, and I'm like, okay. And I just figured, you know, I came back, and you know, I was a big Young Life kid, and I had a Young Life. I'd say they're more of a leader, a campaigner leader, where he said, "Hey, do you want to come to this discipleship group?" So I was in this discipleship group, and I'm like, man, this is where it's at. You know what I mean? And I just, my life changed at that point, you know, and it was like, okay, I'm not going to try to find my identity within my friends like this. You know what I mean? This is the wrong way.
That's so, what's the word? Just emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware for you to be able to figure that out in college, that I connect with people when I'm drunk more than I do when I'm sober.
Yeah, yeah.
Like and it is a communal thing, and it is something that people enjoy doing, but it breaks the ice. But if it's always breaking the ice, and you're never, so have you had any alcohol since then?
Oh yeah. I mean,
okay.
I've kind of gone in and out, and then like never alcoholic or anything like that.
Sure.
I mean, I don't drink now, but that's just for
Personal
really
choice.
personal other reasons, you know. I just get silly, you know, and stupid and do stupid things when I drink, you know. So I'm like, okay, I got to cut. The common denominator of doing stupid things was alcohol.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I got to cut out alcohol.
Yeah.
It's funny, you cut out alcohol, I cut out all the stupid things I do. Okay.
It's like process of elimination.
Go figure, yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, so that worked.
That's so you said, so you did Young Life.
Yeah.
Which I was a Young Life kid too. I went to all the camps and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's so neat. So did you grow up in a Christian household, or were you?
Oh yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom played the organ at the church, and
Stop. Oh. Yeah, I feel like just by the way you're sharing, like the country food, always being at your grandma's, and being at Young Life, like faith, community, seemed like it was pretty or family.
Oh yeah. Huge.
So you graduate, or did you graduate college?
No.
Okay.
No, I was like a year and a half
ahead.
at Arkansas. My dad read an article in the Wall Street Journal that said fast track careers. And one of them was going to culinary school, which is the biggest lie of a fast track career I've ever heard. I made $8 an hour when I got out. But it was like, and it took a long time to make money. So I went off to culinary school in Vermont, which was super cool. You know, Vermont's like stepping back in time, but it was really cool. I just packed up my Jeep and headed to Vermont, and it clicked. It just kind of like, okay, you're meant to do something with your hands. You're not, you know, I was probably ADD. I was intelligent from a common sense kind of way, or a IQ, but I just was so hyper attentive to all different things. I did well at what I wanted to do well at, and did bad at what I wasn't interested in. I just didn't care about it. So my mom could not get me to study because I could care less about it. So I was just one of those kids that probably had to do something a little more creative or with their hands. So
I think that's so freeing for somebody to hear, including me, because I mean, I was a really bad test taker also. And when I graduated high school, I just remember, like, I was like, I don't think I could do 4 more years of any sort of like educational stuff, like in another classroom.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't great at academics, but I loved like the leadership parts of it that I got to do, and like editor of the yearbook. Like I loved the yearbook. I was more of a nerd in like storytelling and those types of things. But when
it's cool you recognize that though.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to parents these days. They're like, you know, I've heard your story, and my son is not the best in school, but we really want him to go to college. I'm like, okay, why do you really want him to go to college?
Yes.
I'm like, he doesn't have to go to college, you know? I mean, I grew up in college. I definitely learned a lot about life in college, but it wasn't the academics that I learned things. So it's like, you know, do you know, sometimes people aren't wired that way, you know? Yeah,
it's so true. I think maybe it was for me, I was trying to find the silver lining as to why I didn't, what was the silver lining in going to school? Because I was really bad at it. And I repeated 5th grade, and I just always tested terribly. So I was like, well, there has to be something I'm good at here. And it was like, oh, I'm good at like leadership type positions and helping people feel comfortable when they're new and touring the school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could reflect. I reflect back on that now, and I can say that that's the case. But then mean, everybody, it just seemed like my value was only if I go to college. It was like, where are you going to go to school? And then you're like, I'm not. And they're like, well, you have no purpose. Like, that's what it felt like. You have no purpose if you don't go to college.
Yeah.
And that was...
I still have reoccurring dreams that and I wonder what it is, that I'm going back to school and I'm my age.
Yeah.
And I have, usually it's like all the different cars I've had. You know what I mean? Those cars go to college with me. I'm like, you know, like there's a Range Rover and there's a BMW in my dream, but I'm living with these kids in a house.
That is so
I can't find my classroom. I don't go to class for the first 2 weeks. And then I'm thinking like, okay, now is it okay? And then I finally go to class and the teacher says, yeah, it's okay. And it's just weird. It's like, but it is a reoccurring dream. It's like, I don't want to go back to college, but I don't know what it is.
What does that mean? Why? Yeah, I have had a few reoccurring dreams and I don't know what they mean. I still have, I have 3 themed dreams I have on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What is that?
I don't know.
I need to ask my therapist.
I got one more too, but it's just like, well, these are weird.
Yeah, this is weird. Okay, so you go into culinary school.
Yeah.
And then at this point, like for you to recognize, like, you know, you're finding your worth in like drinking and connecting with people that way. And then you pull back and you're like, I don't want to connect with people that way. Where does like your journey with finding your worth within college, not wanting to go to college, going into culinary school, not necessarily liking it, and right? Or did you like culinary school?
Oh, I liked it.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
I liked it. But it was interesting. I think where I wasn't finding my worth was, I don't know that my parents made me feel this way. I mean, I always felt like they were disappointed because my grades weren't good. And then I always kind of felt that they were starting to be proud of me in some ways. And then once I started getting some awards and things like that, it all of a sudden kind of clicked, I'd say. But I was trying to find, at that point, it transferred. My worth was like with my family, I'd say. Because I didn't go the traditional path that they came from. My dad was always, he was a great dad, but it was always, like if I wanted to buy something, why do you want to buy that? You don't need to buy that. That's not going to do anything good. But it was something I was really interested in. Like I really wanted to buy, you know, a stereo. I really wanted anything music related or guitars. I was buying guitars and amps and selling them. And he just kind of made me feel like that's kind of dumb, you know? And I remember one time, like I was going off to college and I bought these Klipsch speakers, you know, and I'm like, and that was the first time I remember him validating that purchase, which was really weird for me because he was like, wow, those are awesome. I bet those sound really great. And I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, like that feels good.
And I remember that right now, you know, so weird, you know, so I think it was about, and you know, I'm on this path of, what is love, and what is it a feeling? Is it an action? You know, what is it, and when do I feel loved? A lot of this goes back into my grandmother, and it's like what I feel when I feel love with her. It was more about her accepting of what I was interested in. I think you helped me think about that when we had a little bit of a short call before this, but you like how I just kind of segue into this stuff.
That was good. That was good. That was good. Well, we had talked about like she engaged with things that mattered to you and it made you feel seen and loved.
Yeah, I didn't feel judged. And
why do you think that's so sensitive to, like, I agree. Like when somebody engages with something that I find a lot of enjoyment in, I feel really loved by it. And I still can't figure out what is that? Like, why is that? Other than I guess I feel known. But why do I want to feel known? I don't know. Now I'm going down a path of like, I need to go to therapy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I need to go back.
But so you notice that with your grandma, but as you like start getting awards and stuff and your parents are starting to give you some, I guess, accolade or appreciation for your endeavors?
Yeah, or they're hearing, you know, especially now, you know, where your son, I saw him on TV, I saw him on this, I saw him on that. Then it's kind of like, okay, you know, finally I'm okay, you know what I mean? You know, but it was so minor, you know, it wasn't like they were abusive by any means. It was just kind of like, I think a lot of it was just how I interpreted their emotion or their facial expression or whatever. And I kind of try to think about it in my own kid's way. It's like, all right, what, my oldest son, we were down in Seaside and it was his birthday. So we're like, hey, you go pick out a toy or whatever. Someone took him to go pick out a toy, and he got this, like, he loved animals. So he got this, like, it was like a stuffed dog in this little carrier is what it was, really, but I remember saying to him, I said, oh, you got a dog in a purse, you know what I mean? I'm just like, you got a doggy purse, and I'm just like, gosh, I hope that doesn't resonate with him as not being connecting or loving, because it's something that small can affect you. I'm going to ask him if he doesn't listen to this. I'm going to find out, you know what I mean?
But that is true, though. I think that we're looking for parents or people that are some sort of mentor figure in our life, and we're looking at them of going, like, do you accept this? Like, what do you think about this? What do you feel about this? Like, how do you think? And you're like, but you're also like exploring your creativity and your passions and your skills. And I think that's such a vulnerable thing to explore, because when you do explore that, you're met with people that do critique it and do tear it apart and also make you feel like you shouldn't be doing those things. And when you're not going on the ordinary path, that's already scary. So it's almost like you search for people to affirm your travel. On a road that's less traveled.
And kind of where I'm now with, like, the restaurants. I remember we, had a really fast growth, and some people in the world, I don't know their backstory, but you can only imagine their backstory, because they want to tear you down. They want to see you fail. They want to do something. And, and I just feel sorry for them, because I'm just like, maybe I should talk to them and say, hey, you okay? You know what I mean? Because it's like,
right.
It's just food. You know what I mean? What's the big deal?
Did you get to that point, or did you always think that way?
I got to that point.
Okay.
I got to that point. I'm just like, I don't get it,
What was the first restaurant that you opened?
JCT.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you opened that, what year was that?
2007.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, when you're an underdog, when you're a first thing, everyone loves you, when you're the big bear, everyone hates you on the media, you know what I mean? Side,
That's
but
so true.
I just try to stay nice. And
so how did you, when people, I do want to stay on that a little bit.
Yeah.
When you start something, you are the underdog. So everyone's rallying and they're like, yeah, we're going to support it. When it gets popular, all of a sudden it's like you become like, I don't know, like an enemy, or not an enemy, but like there's
capitalism or something. I don't know.
Like it's like they wanted you to succeed, but only to the parameters that they wanted you to be in, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you started growing beyond just being an underdog, I would love to hear that journey.
Yeah. So what happened, I would say, I think in the media world, there was, the New York writers who would write about Guy Fieri or whatever. And it just got so much press, you know what I mean, that they were just going to rip into something, and I think some of the local ones kind of did that. And when you look at them, you're like, yeah, they probably had a rough childhood of some sort, but, and then they're the local ones. And then you have the national ones who are giving you all kinds of praise because they don't care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we noticed it, I would say with Marcel, like Marcel got these writers were like, it was 0 stars out of 4, I guess, or out of 5. I don't know, out of 4. And it said 0 stars, not recommended. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, Marcel absolutely crushes it. People love it. I mean, it's like, it's probably our biggest home run we've ever had, So I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing. And I'm like, okay. And then that same person, Beetle Cat, opened, and then that same person, I think, did the exact same thing.
They just wanted to be.
Yeah, and then now they're not writing anymore. They're doing something different. They're out of the business. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, you get somebody like that, and so it was a funny thing. What I did was, it was the writer for the Marcel one, who I won't say his name, but he. the funny thing was the only positive thing he said was the burger. He liked the burger, Marcel. So I had my graphic designer draw this man, the writer, his face and everything, and a cartoon character, and he's in a big burger suit, and his name is Corby, but it says, and he's holding the burger, and it says Marcel, and it says Corby approved. You know what I mean? So we had a stamp on the menu. We posted it on social media. So it was just all about like, hey, Corby loved our burger. He hated everything else. But he loved our burger. And I heard through the grapevine that Corby thought that was really funny. And he thought it was cool.
Talk about taking adversity and bringing it a part of your branding. That's
joke
awesome.
Back with him. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I have to tell you, I love Marcel. And this is a moment. This is okay, you're going to need your glasses to read this because I had to print it small. So when I first got our retail store, they did like a page, like a feature in Atlanta Magazine. I was trying to find the magazine. I kept it, couldn't find it. I don't know where I put it. I was bummed, so I printed it. And this is a redemption for me in this moment with what I said. Okay, so I want you to read read where it says after hours.
After hours. I love the late night menu at Marcel, and I really love hanging out in the bathroom and spraying myself with Chanel perfume. That's funny. Okay, listen. I got all kinds of stories here.
Okay, so listen. I did not say that fully. And so I'm going to tell you what I said. Okay. I said, and I didn't want to tell anybody about this interview. So the whole point, it was like 2 pages. I didn't want to tell it because the way that my words were translated, where I did not like them. And this is just a personal preference because I'm a words girl. And what I said when they asked me about after hours, I said, Ford does such a good job. When you walk in, everything is consistent from the hostess to when you sit, to when you look at the menu, when you get your food, to the staff. And then the bathrooms are beautiful, and there's like these brushes, and there's perfume, and there's, Chanel powder and Ralph Lauren, and it's just that's what was translated.
Well, that's funny because these are the ones who gave you that's the 0 stars. They couldn't put that. That's funny.
Are you serious?
Well, they don't want to discredit their review, I guess.
Wow.
I wonder who that writer was. Yeah.
I was so embarrassed because I just admire you. And when I saw that, I was like, Ford can never see that that's what I do in his restaurants is appreciate the Chanel perfume when there's food to eat.
I thought you were going to say Aquanet. So it's like, because that was the first thing. We wanted to create this like fun bathroom attendant vibe without the attendant. And I remember the first day I was out to like Walgreens and I'm like, or whatever, and I'm picking CVS or something like that, and they had like this cologne and perfume section. I'm just grabbing all this stuff, and I grabbed a bottle of Polo. Kind of expensive, what I mean? So I put it in there. First day, gone. Someone stole it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to start buying like Dracar and all this. Like, you know what I mean? You got to buy some real cheesy stuff. And I always thought it'd be fun to go in there and just really lather up with some sort of cologne and come back to the table just all like...
You just smell really good.
Oh my gosh, you're like, what happened to this guy?
Is he okay?
Yeah, that'd be a fun video. You could have your hair all aqua knitted up and coming out of the bathroom.
You should do a commercial like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you design your restaurants, how do you get creative with it? Like, what's your creative process? Do you see it? Do you start with the menu? What do you do?
Yeah, it usually starts with a joke, where everything has to be funny. So Marcel, like for instance, was this. How many burnt out boxers start these restaurants? Old boxers, and they're just kind of vibey and old school from the 70s, New Jersey, and they always named it after some famous boxer. So we knew we wanted to do a French or a Frenchy Euro steakhouse. So I looked up, all right, who were the famous French boxers? Okay, Marcel was a French. Okay, let's go. That sounds good, So it was about like, going back in time and having the Aquanet in the bathroom. And it was kind of a cross between, this is where it started building, was a cross between being the most expensive, highest quality steakhouse with not taking ourselves too seriously, having all that kind of stuff, like with the boxing theme and all the little pictures of the boxers and all that. So that's how it just kind of played out as kind of a joke in a way. There's a lot of humor, like the bathroom. I mean, all the photos in the bathrooms and, just kind of like, so how it starts with it, that then so mood boards with pictures, write a sample menu,
Do you have your hand in each of that?
What's that?
Do you have your hand in each of those things?
Yes. That's right. That's pretty much where I do most of everything, is that, and you start and make up a story, me and Alvin, who's our graphic designer, we just sit around and laugh, because it's always like, hey, what's the story behind this? And we make up it's a story that's not true, it's made up. And what it could be, so, and then it just kind of evolves into something, and then everyone goes there and they're like, oh, this is a really nice restaurant. I'm like, okay. Little do you know, there's a lot of humor behind this thing,
I love that.
So
I love that it starts with humor. Do y'all just how do you find the humor? Do you watch comedy, or do you
I don't know.
in your brainstorm meetings, or I saw this thing on TikTok, or do you Google it, or what do you?
No, it just comes up. Okay, so
That's
we
cool.
had King and Duke for a while, and King and Duke were the two grifters there. They were con men from the book Tom Sawyer. Okay, so the thought was like, all right, where are these people coming from Midtown, coming into Buckhead as con men, taking the money from all these Buckhead Betties? So we were thinking all right, what game should we do? We like doing a game, and should we have a pin the tail on a cougar, or what is it? You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of just chatter going on back and forth on what it's about, So
have you ever thought about doing a trailer, like a movie trailer? You should do a movie, or have you done a movie trailer?
We did one for Le Lou. It's a cocktail bar we have in Nashville. So it was fun.
We went there. We loved it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned JCT and King and Duke. And did you close those? Transition those?
JCT transition,
Little
King and Duke,
Sparrow.
we just didn't, King and Duke, we didn't renew that lease, so.
What is that like as a creative and an entrepreneur to close something and not take it personal? Or do you?
Sometimes you're just, that one, it was fine because it didn't lose money. It just wasn't performing that well. And so it was kind of like, all right, we knew it'd probably eventually go in that direction, I'd say, but a lot of it's just taking ownership. Quite honestly, it's maybe we just didn't execute that well, and just have to take that as just got to own that. And then we opened Superica on the west side, and that one closed. That was I don't know, everyone's closed on the west side now as far as casual stuff. So didn't really take that one too personal. But I also thought, okay, I got to take some of the truth. It's all right, part of it is maybe we didn't execute that well. Maybe we weren't that good, know? So that's, I guess when you have, I think we have 26 restaurants. And if you close 2 of them, one of them, so we really only closed one that was outside of a lease.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Well, because I wondered, I feel like you hit the nail on the head with ownership.
Yeah.
You have to just own and just move forward, because you can get kind of stuck in the headspace of feeling like a failure or feeling like, could have done this differently. And then you just kind of, cycle into that headspace, especially as an entrepreneur. But you said you worked your way mentally through the critics. Mm-hmm. How did that go? Well, that's hard.
It's tough because you're a creative and you want to, we build restaurants to the place that we want to go. Mm-hmm. And a lot of chefs build restaurants to, in their mind, is to express their art form or to win a certain award of over-the-top creativity. And I just have a mindset of I'll let them do that. But it's if someone is investing $5 million with us to start a restaurant, I'm not going to be all about myself, and I'm just going to express myself on the plate at the expense of this investor's $5 million.
Right.
I'm going to have to create something that, like, so we want to create restaurants that are, someone can go there every other day if they want, or they can go there once a year, or they can go there once a month, more of that versus that one time. Like, I had one guy tell me how I went to this restaurant and it was just this is one of these restaurants in Chicago that is super overly creative, and I could not do any of that kind of stuff. And he said it's one of the most memorable experiences. And I asked him a question. I said, would you go back? And he's like, oh, no. Oh, I experienced it. I've seen it. I don't need to go back. So it's a little bit of, that's an extreme case.
Right.
But it's a little bit of that, where I like places that are just neighborhood stuff I want to eat, like steak and fries. Like, what's better than that,
and tacos, and chips,
I don't need
and
to turn olive oil into a powder or something like that. I'd rather just eat olive oil, that kind of thing. So it's kind of the thought, and then the critics, back to your question, was like, Ford is playing it safe, I'm like, no, I'm just doing what I want to do,
you're being strategic in it.
Yeah, there is strategic, as far as is what I think the guest is going to want on a more frequent basis, and what I would want on a frequent basis. But sometimes you have this like, hey, I want to do something a little more creative, but then the older you get, you're like, okay, I don't have it in me. You know what I mean? I don't have that, or I don't have that talent. I don't have that talent to be over, like going on these cooking shows. I remember my wife said, she's like, I told her one day, I said, if I ever come to you and say, hey, I want to go on this cooking show, tell me no. Because I didn't want it to feed my ego, and I didn't want it to take me down. You know what I mean? So I've gone to her maybe 4 or 5 times, and she's told me no every time. Which was always been the right answer.
That's a good wife.
But I knew I would be so bad because I'm not a fast thinker. I love to like process it and really, massage it. If I was on the fly, I'd be like horrible. Some people are really good at it. I'm just not one of them.
Ford, what are some maybe practical ways that you have been able to stay grounded? I know I've shared like your consistency in what you do is clear with your work.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded while also growing in success and not letting success attach to your identity?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good question. I think it's important that in life, everyone needs a mentor, and everyone needs to be mentoring somebody. For me, I have mentors, and I specifically say to them, hey, if you notice me going off the tracks here in this direction of ego, because I've seen it happen, I said, I want you to call me out on it, because it is a thing that I'm aware of. That's why I didn't want to go on any cooking shows, is that I see what it does to people's egos, and that's just not who I want to be. So a lot of it's just mentors and understanding your weakness and where your tendency to go, and then sharing that with somebody and having that person keep you in line. Sharing it with someone who's gonna call you on it. So that's been helpful for me. Like, even when I feel like I'm not even going down that path, he's hammering me on it. He's like, how you doing here? You know what I mean? I see you going on this. I'm like, I know. You know what I mean? But I've had a hard time like saying, when people say, oh, you're the best. I'm just like, normally I would like downplay it. No, I'm not. And then until someone told me, they said, well, probably some therapy said, hey, you need to accept it. Just say thank you. I said, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? But move on. We're all given talents. You know what I mean? I didn't earn this talent. It was given to me. So humility is huge. You know what I mean? Just keep that word in your back pocket at all times. So
you had mentioned something on the phone about like 6 years ago, and I was going to ask you something you experienced 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, was there a moment in time where, okay, let me rephrase this. You are...
I feel it getting deep right now.
I know.
We were right about to transition.
You are so consistent in what you were sharing. Like there's a strategy as to why some people think you're playing it safe, but you actually are strategic in creating experiences for people that want to experience your art and your food on a daily basis. There's strategy to that. And I'm curious, with consistency, that's really hard, I think, to do, especially as a creative. Takes character, takes integrity, and sometimes that's shaped in us because we've said yes to the wrong things and we've learned our lesson, or we've said no to the right things or the wrong things and we've learned our lessons. And then on the phone, you had shared some things that you went through like 6 years ago. And I'm just curious if there's something that you'd want to share about like your journey and worth in creating. Do you have anything? What happened 6 years ago?
I mean, 6 years ago, I just had a moment. I'm just like, all right, what is, I had to figure out, like, I felt like I was two different people, you know? I felt like I was one person at work and I was one person at home.
Yeah.
And I felt that I was still a kid. I felt like I never grew up, And so I'm like, I got to get to the bottom of this. Growing up, when you grow up in a Christian home, they'll send you to the church counselor, and the church counselor will open up the Bible and then point to these things. This is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do, and that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, there's a place for that too, And so I went to this place called Onsite, which is outside of to kind of figure this out. It was outside of Nashville, and it was a week where you turn in your phone. And this was my first experience of therapy, I guess you'd call it. But it was at a group setting, and there's like creative people, there's musicians there. You don't know, you're not allowed to tell anybody what you do for a living until the end of the thing, which is kind of cool because.
Are you allowed to say your name at all? Or
you say your name.
Okay.
I think, unless you're super famous, you may want to make up a name or something like that.
Okay.
But it was interesting because no one really knew what I did, but I really wanted to. That was my nature, was to tell everybody. That was the first thing that I wanted to talk about. That was my comfort zone, And it was just like, oh my God, I want to tell them what I do. I want them to ask me what I do so I could tell them.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. I was like, and that was one of the coolest things about the weekend is that I was not allowed to do that. And so I learned a lot of, you draw pictures of your childhood, and a lot of it was like, they call it childhood wounds, you know what I mean? And I don't know, for me, I wouldn't call it wounds. I would call it more of childhood programming or whatever. And it's like, hey, what was modeled for you, and how is it playing out in your life now with your family? And I'm like, I got to get out of this. I got to get out. I got to know. First of all, I think I'm the type of person that needs to know why before I can make change. So I just it just scratched the surface. It scratched the surface on why, I felt like I was two different people, or I did act like I was two different people.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live that life anymore. I didn't want to live that, I think that's a facade or something like that. I don't know. And I'm like, I'm done with that. You know what I mean? I hid who I was inside to some.
Yeah.
And so I hid who I was to both sides.
Yeah.
So both sides, I'm sitting there hiding who I really am.
Yeah.
And that got tiring.
Would you say first off, thank you for being honest and vulnerable. Would you say that you said you were two different people. Who did people think you were publicly, and who did people think you were privately, since there were two different Fords? What were those people?
Yeah, private, I was very, conservative, low key, didn't talk a lot, a little more shy. I'm an introvert naturally. Publicly, I would save it all up, and then I would come across as an extrovert, come across people who didn't know me didn't. There's always been this thought of, oh, he thinks he's better than us kind of thing. And I've always tried to figure out why people think that, because I don't think that way. That's not what I think, And I just maybe because I like nice things. Like back early in my career, like I wanted a nice car, but the only way I could afford it, it'd have to have like a 200,000 miles on it. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, but they didn't know that. They grew up probably with, I grew up with stuff and country club and things like that. And maybe the way people told me, they're like, yeah, they think you're better than them. Like there was early before I started my own restaurant, these groups of chefs wanted to go to this, they wanted to camp out, and they were gonna invite strippers to this camp out. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I opted out. But what they said was behind my back was like, oh, he thinks you're better than them. I'm like, what? How did you interpret that?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Just by you saying no to something means that you thought you were better than
So,
them.
For the most part, like I definitely would hide, I would hide my faith in front of the people at work or whatever. I was just a pro riding the fence, as far as who I was. And, I was always nice, nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Typically put people first. But I think people, they make assumptions on who you are, or you're greedy, they may say, which is far from the truth. But I don't know. It's hard for me to even, I think I've even blocked it out. I'm trying to think like 6 years ago, like because I've kind of got out of that. I've got out of, the two, because by the end of the week, they were like, the counselor who was leading the group, she was like, I don't see two people. I see one. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm crying and all this stuff.
You cried?
That's the only place I cried. That is the only place I cried. I think I was the first one to cry, and just like, and I don't know what it was, because I think I'm an independent person. I never wanted to put anybody out. I wanted to handle things my own. I don't need anything. I don't need anybody. And to some extent, I still have those thoughts and those feelings. So this was just one of those, I felt safe to, and it just came, you know what I mean? I couldn't help it. You love that. But
did you expect that going into it? Were you like, this is good, I'm going to cry at the end of this?
Oh my gosh. So it was just a water balloon that just blew up and blew up and blew up, and then finally just exploded.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it. That's like, it's not like suddenly you need to, I think that's what I always say. It's like nothing ever suddenly happens. It's just an accumulation.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned like performing for your worth and for love was a thing for you growing up in general with like friends. And I still find myself doing that. And I have to remind I like almost want to tell, like, because that's out of like my childhood stuff. I'd almost need to just like, small Eryn, little Eryn, not in a little belittling way, but just like my childhood Eryn.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to perform. You don't have to perform for your people to value you and see your worth. And
that's so cool.
See that you're known. And I feel like that's still a daily struggle for me. So I commend you for your ability to be one person.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Ford. So what would you encourage somebody that's kind of struggling with their identity? Maybe if it's even like they're a creative, they're a freelancer, they're pursuing something, they're trying to block out their own critical voice, and maybe they are finding their sense of worth by performance. What would you tell them?
I would say I've become a fan of therapy like that. Finding someone who can kind of walk you through your story work, I'd say, is a good word for it. I mean, you can look up the Allender Center and understand some of that stuff, and don't be afraid of that kind of stuff. If you feel like something's missing, you feel like, go before the balloon pops. Go before that, and figure out, hey, what makes me tick? What makes me feel this way? And what's going on? I'd also say, like I've talked to my younger son. It's like, I said, if I knew what I know now, or I'm your age, when you're at that age, like I told him, I said, in shape, exercise, you know what I mean? He's like, well, what are you saying? I'm fat. I'm like, no, I'm saying your brain is going to be clearer when you have a good balance in your life. And that balance is like exercise, is, eating well, but understanding why you do what you do. And, how, like, he's got a girlfriend or whatever. It's like, how are you preparing yourself to be a husband? How are you preparing yourself to be a dad, Because if you're like me and you're like still a kid and living a dual personality, you got to figure that out, because it's hard when you grow up in that performance-based house that you're trained to perform and say the right things. I mean, that was one thing that I just remember. It's like, hey, am I saying what I really believe, or am I just saying what I think you want to hear?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of me just saying what I think they want to hear. So, it's been, so for me, it's like, for anyone, it's like, figure it out. Figure out what's going on, because everyone's got it. Everyone's got baggage.
100%.
You know what I mean? Just figure out what your baggage is so that you don't unload your baggage on someone else. So
that's good. Before the balloon pops. That's a really good analogy. That's really good. Man, Ford, thank you so much for just your honesty and being here and talking about your story and sharing it with me.
We're ending on a high note, aren't we?
Huh?
We're ending on a high note, aren't we?
Hey, I can keep going. I have a few more questions.
That's all good. You're going to start crying, or someone's going to start crying now. So.
No, I'm seriously so grateful.
Yeah.
I just think people are going to be able to find hope, and even just like the things that you shared in regards to like college and finding their identity in college, and finding that they only connect with people when they drink. And like, you have so much that you just shared that you probably don't even realize.
The cool thing about that is I love, people say, oh, you must be so busy. Oh, you're probably not even going to read. They write it like on Instagram. They'll say, you're probably not going to read this, or this isn't probably you, or whatever. But the cool thing is that at my age now, people did things for me. Now it's my turn. So like my Instagram is @FordFry. So this is kind of a little plug to build my followers.
Yeah.
But
share it.
But
where can people find you?
anyone can ask me questions. Like, I am an open book, you know what I mean? About anything, it's about, the last question was like, do I really need to soak the beans for refried beans or whatever? I'm just like, it could be whatever. And I am the one who's going to answer. And it could be, all right, I'm feeling this way. Tell me about this on-site, or tell me about Allerton, or whatever. I'm about to be a dad, and I know I relate to what you're saying. You're kind of two people, and I grew up like this, and so hit me up. I mean,
I love that.
That's my duty, to be able to answer back. Awesome. So
I have one more vulnerable question to ask you. Now, you mentioned earlier that you play guitar. Yeah, right? What if I had a guitar here and I had you play something? Would you actually do it?
Yeah.
Really?
No. I don't know. Well, yeah, but I'm a noodler, you know what I mean? Yeah, I can play something.
Noodle? Will you noodle for us?
Yeah.
Here's your moment,
electric. All right.
Your first ever guitar.
What kind of tone are we going to get?
I don't know. You want the neck or the bridge?
I'm definitely bridge.
This is so fun.
What do you want me to just give me I'm not a worship player, dude.
No.
Just give us a riff, you know what I mean?
We've talked about vulnerability this whole time, and this is like a moment to be vulnerable.
You gotta put me on the spot here.
She put you on the spot.
Hey.
All right. We don't have you don't have a.
You want some more drive?
It's gonna get real loud if you got that. Yeah, give me drive. Give me some drive. I'm gonna play some Led Zeppelin. How about that? Yes. But a short snippet.
Yes. Do you have my phone?
I got my phone.
Let's go.
How about that?